Hey, game designers. Welcome to part 3 of our series for rigging Batman. So we just completed rigging Batman's first pose. And again, for the purpose of this assignment, we're only going to do 2 poses. In the second frame, you can see here that when I do this, it creates a whole bunch of distortion. And what I want to do is focus just back on what display 2. You can see here that these are the deformers for the straight pose facing the camera, but we are now in a 3/4 pose. So these deformers have no purpose. So I'm not going to go ahead and create deformers for the third pose, but you will have to. The only difference you have to make sure you do is that when you click on the frame 10, where all your second pose is located, you have to click this little button up here. Okay, so again, make sure that you are on this frame and that you click right here on the mask, you click on create new deformer chain. And this will delete the chain and allow you to create a new rig for the pose. So we're gonna do this for every single part of the head. So I'm gonna go to the next part here. I'm gonna grab this display and connect it to the left eye. And you can see here that the left eye is being deformed by the old deformer. I'm gonna click on create new. Okay, go back over here. Same thing. I'm gonna connect the right eye. And then the right eye also has, again, on frame 10, the wrong deformer. And you will delete it and create a new deformer by hand. I'm going to go to the face here, connect display 2 into there. And I'm going to get rid of this old deformer by clicking again on the frame and clicking this button right here, create new deformer chain. And now I can add a new deformer for this 3/4 pose. Same thing here. I'm going to left click, drag that out. Drag it into our display port for the mouth. And again, this is the old deformer. And the old deformer actually could kind of be reused. I'm actually going to again click on this right here, click on the actual frame, create new deformers, and I can just make a new one really quickly. Actually, I'll just do this one real quick. So I can left click, and left click. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and move this slightly a bit, just to show you guys for at least one frame. So this is the 3/4 frame. And I'm going to go ahead and move it to frame 19 and drag it back. So now I have 2 sets of deformers. So I have a deformer for this pose, and now I have a deformer for frame 10 up to frame 19. And this is what you're responsible for. You're responsible to give me, actually, I'm going to grab this a little one more frame. Frame 1 through frame 9 is the straight pose, and frame 9 or 10 through 19 is the 3/4 pose. And you can see here I have 2 sets of deformers. Now you can actually see that it has 2 sets of deformers right inside of the deformer mouth network. If I click on this, you can see here that in one pose it uses 1, and another pose it uses 2. So you can see here, if you click on here, you'll see the deformers, curve 1, curve 2. Okay, and if I go back up and click on the second set of deformers, that's starting on frame 10, you can see it uses again offset curve 1, curve 2. So this makes a chain of deformers, 1 for each pose. So now I can animate Batman, if I wanted to, for the mouth at least, on frame the 3/4 pose. So again, I can do an animation, and I can make him do a grin if I want. Right? And now I can go over here and see how it animates, just the mouth at least. So I'm going to reset the deformers here, and now I can go from a smirk to a flat line. Now, the reason why the head disappears is because I haven't dragged this for all of the head yet. That's for you guys to do, but you get the idea of how to create a new deformer chain. All right, so now that we are done with deformer chains, we are now going to move on to the other parts of the assignment, which is to create a full body rig. So basically everything we have done so far, if I click on display all and turn on display all, and I go to back to frame 1, I have, and I turn off all the isolation modes. Let's see if I can do that. I have a full body that I should be able to animate. So besides just Batman's head, I should be able to move his arms and his legs, or at least his torso. So let's go ahead and talk about how we are going to do that. Okay, so we're going to teach you guys something called bone deformers, and that we can make bones deform instead of enveloping the entire cape. So actually, I think the cape, we're probably going to use envelop. Maybe we'll use a bone, but I think we're going to use envelop for the cape. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So again, now that we have everything visible, because we're on display all, let's go ahead and move to the cape over here, and let's go ahead and do a quick ISO of the cake and finish this one. So again, this is kind of review. We're not doing anything quite new here. We'll go into the cape and go ahead and switch back to display 2 just so that we can isolate display 2. And we're just going to give it a quick deformer for this one just so that we can manipulate this pretty freely. Go to the rig tool, go to our deformers here, and make sure that we're on frame 1. And we're going to go ahead and create deformers for this cape. So I'm just going to do a simple, quick deformer for these. We're not really going to be worried about the bottom anyway. So I'm going to go kind of down here, and then hit Alt, and close it, and fix these handles to match my drawing. Again, this is in rigging mode. So what I'm doing right now is not changing or deforming anything. It's just giving me the kind of underlying shape of the deformers that I'm going to use to deform the cake. Okay, so here it is. Here's the cape. I finished this. I'm going to go to animation mode and test it out. So the cape doesn't have any other keyframes. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this keyframe all the way to frame 19, which is when your animation will end. Drag it back. And now I could go ahead and create a keyframe here. Go to frame 19 and just let's do a quick wave of the cape or whatever. So the cape is kind of wavy. So I don't know, something like that. Kind of something, maybe not like that, but maybe move this cape in and move this handle out, something like that, and move this cape point a little bit to the left, and then switch these handles a little bit. So now you can see here that I have some wavy cape animation here. Okay, so this is not new. Let's go ahead and move to the part that is new. So let's starting with his arms. We're going to start fixing the arms. Now, I think I have the arms mislabeled. This is actually the right arm, this is the left arm. But you guys get the idea. Let's go ahead and drag this display 2 into the arm and teach you guys a new way of creating rigs. So this arm, we're going to have the ability to bend this arm. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the first frame. And again, you can see here that all the frames are the same, 1 through 5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give this a different bone structure. I'm going to click on rigging tools. I'm going to use, instead of an envelop, because I don't really want to manipulate the outside, I'll manipulate the inside like it's a bone structure and use the bone tool. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to first select where the arm is going to pivot. So I think right about here is going to be the good pivot point for his arm. So I'm going to create a bone structure here by left-clicking once, then creating a bone structure in between his glove and the inside of his arm. So right there. Then at his wrist, right there, and then one at the in between his knuckle and his thumb. And now I have a 4-joint, 3-bone structured rig. Now you can always edit this. I can edit this and move it here, and maybe edit here, and then rotate this here a little bit. Okay, and now right here you see this little widget right here. This allows you to scale the influence. You want to scale the influence just right in between the glove and the inside elbow. And then I'm going to move this here. You want to move this just at the radius of the wrist. So again, this is just creating a bone structure. Let's show you guys, let's show you guys what it's like to animate with this thing. So once I'm done rigging, I'm going to go ahead and go to the animation tool. And let's go ahead and make a 19 frame animation. So suppose that I drag this out here and drag it over here. And I'm just going to make Batman do a simple flex animation. Flex his arm up and then back out again. I don't know, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe. I'm going to go to frame 10. And let's suppose that he bends his arm inward. I'm going to go ahead and click on the animation tool. As long as I'm animating, it's going to automatically create keyframes. And I'm going to bend his elbow in. Now you see here when I bend his elbow, you see like this little cutoff line right here, which is not what I want, right? This is very bad. And again, you can see this is animating, So it's cool, but not quite cool because these lines are disconnecting. So here's where the next part comes in. You have the ability to add a special node that will take care of this issue for us. So we're going to go into the deformer left arm layer here. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control F to expand it. And we're going to add something that you've never done before. So we're going to add a node that helps us with this problem. It's going to be called AutoFold. So I'm just going to hit the Tab button here, or the Enter button, and then I'm going to type in the word fold, and you're going to see a special node called AutoFold. I'm going to left click and create it. And what AutoFold does is if you disconnect this bone 2 to the multi-out port, and instead connect it from here to here, and from here to here, it will now do a AutoFold, and it will look different when those two lines cross. So let's hit Control F, and you can see here that it does a little bit different job of deforming, so that the line doesn't break across as much. You can still see here that it's not quite perfect, but it does let us try to close that gap a little bit. So again, if you don't like that line breaking, maybe you'll just kind of change how much it can flex. Maybe it means that I also need to increase the influence. So maybe if I feel that this doesn't quite work, I'm going to go back to frame 1, go back to rigging mode. And again, you can still edit the rig. The rig is not, forever like this. So maybe I need to kind of center it over here, maybe increase the radius a little bit more, and go over here and move it right in there. And now maybe this will be a little bit better with a better influence. Let's go back to here, and let's see as it goes from deformer to animate mode to here. Let's go ahead and click here. Maybe because I moved the deformers, I have to reanimate it. So I'm on animation mode now. And yeah, it looks a little bit better with a bigger influence. And there you have it. So let's say I do this, and let's say I'm keyframe 19. I'm going to rotate. You can click here and kind of rotate his arm up. And let's say he does kind of like a falling animation, like he's falling down, and like as he's coming down and jumping from a roof or something. So you go ahead and see the animation, flexes his muscles, and then starts arching his arm backwards, right? So we're going to repeat this for the other arm, and we'll quickly, and let's go ahead and move along. I'm going to grab this display 2, drag it out, drag it to the other arm. Again, do the same similar bone structure. Maybe this would be a good opportunity to actually just kind of do display all, so I can kind of match the same point as I create deformers. So as long as I click on the correct object and click on the rigging tool, I can kind of see the other bone structure and kind of mimic what I did on the first one, so that there's symmetry here. So I'll go ahead and click there to create the first joint, click somewhere right here to create the second joint, click on the wrist to create the third joint, and then click here to create the fourth joint. Again, I'm going to create the influence just around the wrist area. And here I'm going to expand a little bit bigger. You can see here that I'm probably a little bit off. So I'm going to kind of move it right there. Expand it out just like I did over there. Maybe expand it a little bit even more over here. And I'm going to relocate this wrist right there. And this looks good. So let's go back to, at least mirroring wise, let's go ahead and test the animation again. So I'm just going to do something real quick because we kind of get the idea already from the previous exercise. I'm going to go to animation mode, go and insert a keyframe, go to frame 19, and I don't know, I'm going to do something like this and just test my animation. Okay, and then I can go to display all on this frame. And you can see both my arms kind of moving. Okay, so again, you don't see the rest of the body because I haven't moved it yet, but you get the idea. Okay, and let's go ahead and continue our exercise and now move on to the torso. So the torso, I think, is the last thing besides the front cape that we need to edit here. So let's go ahead and do that real quickly. And the torso is going to be actually the most important one. So we'll do something kind of different. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this display 2, plug it into the torso, and go ahead and put this on display 2. So what we're going to do here is we're only going to move the top of his torso. We're not going to move his legs because we just don't really have the time to animate this entire thing. But we're going to be able to move his body left and right. So Again, I'm going to turn off animation mode, go to rigging mode, go to my bone structure, and it's going to be very simple. I'm going to click on the first frame. I'm going to create a 3-joint, 2-bone rig. So I'm going to click there, click one in his abdomen, and one on his upper chest. And then that's it. I'm going to increase the influence, not too far, because you don't want to get toward his belt here. You don't want to touch his belt, but you do want to give influence this way. Okay, maybe I'll just move it up a little bit higher and then give it a little bit more influence. And then the last joint never needs to be decided. Only the middle joints need to have certain ones. So I'm going to go ahead and increase my animation to frame 19, drag it back to frame whatever it is. Let's go ahead and create a keyframe here. And let's say I bend his body. Like I'm just going to lean to the right. And I'm going to go over here. I'm done rigging. I'm going to go to my animation mode. And I'm going to rotate his body. So if I can go to rotate, you can see here that I'm rotating the top and the bottom. And that is not what I wanted. I don't want to click on this. I actually want to click on just this. Let's see if I can click on just the top. And I kind of put my widgets in the same place, so that's not a good thing. Let's actually fix this real quickly, because this is not a good way to rig. So if I have to click and animate, let's go back to my animation mode here. So now I can click on the individual handles. So I'm going to click on this handle, and I'm going to go ahead and swing his body right and left. So you can see here, I'm turning and swinging his body. So let's say I swing all the way to the right over here. Now, if I go back to display all, you're going to see an issue, right? I am swinging, but the rest of my body is not swinging. So again, I still have the same thing selected. I can swing this way and swing this way. You can see here that my arms do not swing with me, and that is not a proper rig. Because if I swing my torso, I should be able to swing my head and swing my arms. So you can see here, if I go ahead and swing to the right, even from frame 1 to 9, my head should be moving as well, and it's not. So all of this is because these deformers are not well connected yet in terms of giving it a hierarchy where the torso can move the other limbs. So we're going to teach you guys what you need to do next to create this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create what we call kinematic outputs. So I'll show you this in full view on the node view. So the torso is kind of like the main rotating point. So I'm going to move it really high in our hierarchy. And what I want to do, and I'll start with the arms and the cape, is that I want to connect these to the deformer so that the deformer can control the arms and the cape. So let's go ahead and do this. To do this, we're going to create what we call a kinematic output bone. We're going to hit enter, type in kinematic output bone, and now we're going to stick the right arm peg to the kinematic output, then the kinematic output to the torso. So by doing this, let me just go back and show you how this changes things. So again, I still have my animation, but you can see here that the quote-unquote right arm, technically the left arm, is animating now with the body. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue this exercise and see that it works. So again, I'm just going to type in enter, type in kinematic output, and actually I'm going to do it twice because I have 2 of these. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug this into here and plug that into there. If it already did so, that's good. Okay, and then I'm going to connect this back to the torso deformer. And now, if I go back out, hit Control F, I can now look at this animation and look at this. The arms move with it. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to here and move along. Now, you would think that I would create kinematic outputs for all of these, but that is not the case. So what we're going to do is make things a little bit easier. We're going to create one main peg for all of the things that are on his head. So I'm going to hit Control F. Not Control F. Control P to make a new peg, and I'm going to rename it by clicking on this little yellow button here. I'm going to call this the head peg. And I'm going to grab all these things and attach all these pegs to the head peg. And then I'm going to click on the head peg, and drag it into the torso now. Oh, actually, I need to create the kinematic output. So I actually made a mistake there. And let's go ahead and detach that. Let's go ahead and hit enter again. Create another kinematic output. And now drag this into there. And then this into the torso. And now the only thing we haven't done is the cape. So let's go ahead and Control F and see now if our animations are working with the head and the body. And it does. Okay. So the only thing left to do is to animate the front cape. I think you guys get it. I don't have to kind of go any further here because we haven't created any deformers for it yet or whatnot. But you guys now have a good idea of how to create animations with the entire body. So again, let's go ahead and show you guys again how you can do this all in one shot. Click on Display All. You can left-click drag all of this. Make sure you have your animation mode on. And you can click on Show and Hide Deformers, and you can animate everything all in one shot and create an animation where he moves from frame 1 all the way to frame 19. Now, I only did frame 1 through 9. You're going to be able to do frame 1 through 19, including his front cape. Okay, that is your job to do, and I'll see you guys in the next video.